Hey, English 11, Mr. Nass here. Let's take a look at the mastery check. This video will guide you through the analysis of the first chapter of Persepolis. So you need to go into lesson 3 and the mastery check. Open up your document, which looks like this. You'll have to read the introduction to answer the first question, but I will be walking through some of these graphic novel elements that you see in the first chapter. So I will show the slideshow, but you want to have this open because it'll probably help you answer some of the questions. So here we go. The goal today is to utilize graphic novel terms when analyzing Persepolis. You need to go ahead and pause this video and read pages 3 to 9 in Persepolis. That's the section called the veil, so that you know what you're doing when we talk through it. So pause, read. All right, I'm assuming that you paused and read, so let's go ahead and get started. First of all, this book is a memoir, and a memoir is a history. It's a history of someone's life and written from their perspective or from their personal knowledge. So it's not like a research background of something as much as it is an experience. So Marjan, the author of this book, was born in Iran in 1969, grew up during this Islamic revolution that we have talked about in class and that you did at lesson 1. Her family had to change the way they lived, had to change to a new way of life, and it very much affected her as she grew up there. She wrote Persepolis 21 years ago now in 2000, became an award-winning film, and it was originally written in the French language. So let's look at the veil. Right away at the beginning, you see her. She's 10 years old in 1980. This is her in school, and these are her friends in school. So we start with a voiceover, and a voiceover gives the narrator, which is Marjan in this case, an ability to speak to the reader and to introduce things or narrate, right? So usually done with a hard line separating the narrator's speech. So here you can see her speech is up on the top. Not exactly a caption, but what we call a voiceover. So what's the voiceover tell us about the text? How does the voiceover help us better understand the narrator's perspective? This should be a pretty easy question to answer. She's introducing us to the setting. She's introducing us to how old she is, where she is, when this is. She's getting us into the setting of the book. Feel free to steal these answers for your mastery check. Time. Graphic novels and comic books don't have to tell the story in a linear way. So they don't have to go piece by piece in order. So for this panel that's on this one, for example, this is not one scene. This is multiple experiences that she had at school and different things that people said related to the veil that they were then forced to wear at school, and what a big change that was for them. So what does Satrapi's use of time in this panel communicate about how Marjan and her classmates adjusted to wearing the veil in the last panel on page 3? So how did they feel about it? Well, it's pretty apparent here that they were not used to it. They did everything with that veil except wear it, and that was a big change for young people. Graphic weight. We've talked about contrast. She only uses black and white in this book. And so here you can see some of these images have more of that dark contrast. Some of them have more brightness. And that's supposed to give us a feeling, get the mood and tone across of what she's saying. Another item that we see right away in the veil is called juxtaposition. That's putting two things close to each other that contrast. In this panel, we have the dark on the left, those demonstrating for the veil, and then we have the light on the right, and those are the other demonstrators against the veil. And so she's using this juxtaposition to contrast the perspectives of these people and what they're trying to accomplish and what they're fighting for. So what does juxtaposition of the graphic weight on page 4 show the reader about how wearing the veil is perceived? So remember, darkness is going to be maybe that authority, that heaviness, this man on the bottom panels here, and the rules being enforced. Whereas the top, in the top left panel, she's at a French non-religious school before the revolution, and it's light. People are having fun. If someone's wearing a mask, they're doing what they want to do. So you see the light and dark and the graphic weight put against each other to show her experience going from that old school to her new school. Camera angle, you can see here she's got the camera angle behind her looking into the mirror. That's on purpose to help you see both her expression and her new hair color. So what authorial choices are made in terms of the camera angle? Why? I just told you. Why did she use this camera angle? She wants to show the facial expression and the emotion. She wants to show the change in the hair, all in one panel. Icon. So an icon's an image used to represent something else, sort of like a symbol. In this case, we have a cartoon image that's God. And Marjan starts talking to God and sharing some of her feelings and some of her thoughts. And we start to see what her relationship with religion and God is like. How she feels. She feels like she's supposed to be a prophet. She feels like God has something special for her. And so in the book, she uses this icon, this kind of picture of God, to show that relationship. Splash panel. Many of you found that in your in lesson 2, but it spans the entire page, and it usually has it kind of might run to the edge of the page. It has a lot of images, patterns, draws your eye. So what's the use of this splash panel? Communicate. Well, you can see it stretches, it pans the entire page, shows the 3 different things she wants to be. And that's related to her view of religion, her view of her role. Emanada, fancy word, refers to teardrops, sweat drops, question marks, motion lines, and squiggles maybe on the page that show you more about how the character's feeling. So here we have the tears to show how she's feeling. Sometimes you see sweat because someone's nervous, right? So these are some of the things that I quickly went through for you that we notice in the veil. Look at all these graphic novel terms. Now you should be able to answer those questions in your mastery check. Hopefully this is helpful, and then you continue on as you analyze the other chapters that are assigned for this lesson.